My boyfriend of 4 years retaliated against me because I went out with my close friend until morning by calling me while he was having sex with his friend with benefits. Hi Reddit. I'm feeling heartbroken, humiliated, and confused beyond words. I 28F have been with my boyfriend 30M for 4 years. We met through mutual friends in our mid-20s and built what I thought was a strong, trusting relationship. We moved in together about 2 years ago, split bills, talked about marriage a few times, and shared everything from weekend trips to holidays with each other's families. Or at least, I thought we shared everything. Our relationship wasn't perfect. Whose is? But we always said honesty mattered most. That was our thing. Even in disagreements, we'd always come back to just be real with me. That was our pact. Except now I'm realizing maybe that was just my belief. Let me get to the point. I have a close male friend. Let's call him Ryan. I've known Ryan since college, and we've never been romantic. Never kissed, never flirted, nothing. My boyfriend has always been weirdly jealous of him, even though I've reassured him countless times that he's like a brother to me. Ryan's in a long-term relationship, and my boyfriend has met both him and his girlfriend multiple times. I thought we were past the insecurity. Apparently not. Last Friday, Ryan invited me out to grab dinner and catch up. He had just gotten promoted and wanted to celebrate with a few drinks. It wasn't a wild party, just us talking over a few beers at a local bar. We ended up staying out way later than planned because we lost track of time, just talking about life, work, and stupid stuff. From college, I texted my boyfriend around 10 p.m. to let him know it was going late and that I'd probably crash at Ryan's place just for the night to avoid driving tired. He read it, but didn't respond. I figured he was just annoyed or asleep. Came back the next morning around 8 a.m. The apartment was empty. I showered, grabbed coffee, and checked my phone. That's when I noticed the missed call from him at 4:13 a.m. and a voicemail. I didn't think anything of it. I assumed maybe he was pissed and wanted to yell at me or check in. But then I played it asterisk. I wish I hadn't. The voicemail started with a few seconds of silence, and then I heard moaning, loud, wet, aggressive, rhythmic sounds. My stomach dropped. I thought I was hearing things, but then, in the middle of it all, I hear him clearly say my name. Yeah, take that. My name. Wants to stay out all night with her buddy, huh? Let's see how she likes this. My blood ran cold. It wasn't just sex, it was a performance. He called me during sex with someone else to send a message. I dropped my phone. I remember standing there in the kitchen in shock, shaking. It felt like my heart was being torn open with a dull knife. A few minutes later, I got a text from him. Now we're even? Even for what? For staying out too long with a friend I've known for over a decade? For not cheating, not lying, just ... Existing independently for one night? I didn't even know how to respond. I didn't respond. I've been walking around the apartment like a ghost for the past couple of days, trying to process what happened. He came home the next day acting completely normal. He even asked me how my night was. I haven't confronted him yet. I don't even know what to say. I feel violated. That voicemail felt like a knife in my spine. I can't get the sound out of my head. It keeps replaying. I keep hearing my name being used like a weapon while he did. That it wasn't just cheating, it was premeditated cruelty. He knew what he was doing. He wanted to hurt me, and the thing is, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't hide where I was. I was honest. I texted. I stayed safe. I didn't cross any lines. Yet somehow I'm being punished like I cheated on him. What kind of person does that? I keep asking myself, if this is emotional abuse, it feels like it. I feel completely shattered inside. He's always had a possessive streak, but I never imagined he'd go this far just to prove some twisted point. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I feel disgusting, like my body doesn't even belong to me anymore. It's like he reached into my chest and yanked out every last bit of love and safety I had with him and spat on it. Reddit, please. I need some outside perspective. Am I wrong for feeling like I've been emotionally abused and betrayed? Am I crazy for feeling like this is way more than just cheating? Because to me, this feels like psychological warfare. Asterisk, asterisk. Update 1. He said it was just casual, but I found out the truth was so much worse. Hi again, Reddit. First off, I just want to say thank you, truly. I didn't expect my original post to blow up the way it did, but it did. And I've read every single comment. Some made me cry, some made me laugh bitterly, and others made me feel seen for the first time in days. You helped me realize that what I experienced wasn't just cheating. It was a deliberate act of emotional cruelty. So many of you pointed out how this wasn't retaliation. It was weaponized humiliation. The voicemail, the timing, the text afterward, all of it was planned, premeditated. He didn't just slip up. He chose to hurt me in the most intimate and personal way possible. And the worst part? A few commenters guessed what I wasn't ready to admit. He didn't cheat because you went out. He used you going out as an excuse to do what he was already doing. Yeah, that hit hard. Because. They were right. After days of crying, second-guessing myself, and replaying that disgusting voicemail in my head, I finally confronted him. At first, I tried to stay calm. I sat him down and asked, "Why did you do it?" Just those 5 words. He looked at me with this smug, blank expression and shrugged. "You were out with another guy all night. You didn't even come home? What did you expect?" I told him again that I had communicated with him the entire time, that he knew where I was and that I hadn't done a damn thing wrong. His response? "You say that, but no boyfriend wants his girl out till 6 a.m. with some dude, no matter how platonic it is." Then came the real kicker. He told me he's been casually hooking up with this friend with benefits for a few months. He said he hadn't told me because it wasn't serious and that he didn't want to hurt me. I laughed, actually laughed. So he didn't want to hurt me, but calling me during sex to let me hear it? That was what thoughtful, mature, respectful? I was shaking, and not from sadness, from rage. I asked him if he thought humiliating me like that was fair. He didn't even flinch. Just shrugged and said, "I needed you to understand how it felt to be disrespected." This man really tried to flip the script. He told me, "If you really loved me, you wouldn't have stayed out all night. You knew how I felt about that friend, but you did it anyway. You're always so emotionally distant lately. Maybe if you'd been more affectionate, I wouldn't have had to look elsewhere." My FWB gets me. She respects boundaries. She listens. I couldn't believe it. He cheated. He emotionally violated me. He weaponized sex to degrade me, and I was being blamed for it. The gaslighting was so thick, I started to question if I'd actually done something wrong. If maybe, just maybe, I had crossed some invisible line, but the comments on my last post kept ringing in my head. No, I didn't cheat. No, I didn't lie. No, I wasn't wrong for having a friend. What he did wasn't about setting a boundary. It was about asserting dominance and punishing me. A few days later, a mutual friend of ours, let's call her Maya, reached out to me privately. She said she saw my post on Reddit. I hadn't named names, but I guess she recognized the situation. Maya told me the FWB wasn't a new thing. He's been hooking up with her since last year. She even came to our apartment once while I was away visiting family, and he told her we were basically done and only living together until the lease was up. He lied to her, lied to me, lied to everyone. This wasn't a heat of the moment mistake. This wasn't a one-time lapse in judgment. This was a calculated, manipulative, ongoing betrayal. He had already been cheating. The voicemail was just the reveal. I think he wanted me to leave so he wouldn't have to be the bad guy. Or worse, he wanted to break me so I'd stay and accept less. Looking back, the signs were all there. He always accused me of cheating, even though I never did. He joked about open relationships, but only when it benefited him. He hated when I spent time with friends who reminded me of my independence. He made me feel guilty for having a life outside of us. I used to think those were just insecurities. Now I see it for what it really was, control. He wanted me small, scared, and dependent. So here I am, writing this update from a hotel room across town. I took the rest of the week off work. I needed time to breathe, to cry, to think without him looming around. I haven't told him I'm leaving yet. I'm planning it on my own terms, quietly, carefully. I've started collecting my documents, changing my passwords, and arranging a place to stay with a friend temporarily. I'm not rushing this. I gave this relationship 4 years of my life. I'm going to give myself time and space to exit without chaos. But let me be clear, I am leaving. There's no coming back from this. Not just because of the cheating, but because of the intentional cruelty, the gaslighting, and the utter lack of remorse. I will not be staying with someone who sees my pain as a punchline. Thank you again, Reddit. Your words, even the tough. Love, help me remember who the hell I am. And to anyone out there who's being made to feel guilty for existing or having friends or setting boundaries, you're not crazy. You're not overreacting. You're just finally seeing the truth. More. Soon, Update 2. He said it was love. I said, you don't destroy someone you love. Hey Reddit, I'm back again. This will probably be long, but it's been an emotionally intense few weeks, and I promise to update. I can't tell you how grateful I am for the continued support, DMs, and comments. Seriously, you have no idea how much it helped knowing complete strangers could see so clearly what I had spent years trying to deny or explain away. So, here's everything that's happened since the last update. After I left to stay at a hotel, I started quietly building a way out. I knew I couldn't just walk away and leave everything behind. Not without protecting myself first. So I got strategic. First, I started gathering proof. I already had that disgusting voicemail, but I also started going through our shared iCloud storage, old messages, bank statements, and social media accounts. Turns out when someone's messy enough to cheat and bold enough to taunt you with it, they're also usually careless. Screenshots, dates, messages from his FWB, Instagram DMs from her telling him, last night was amazing. Messages he sent her while I was literally sitting next to him on the couch. He wasn't even hiding it, just assuming I wouldn't look. I also took photos of anything that could matter legally or financially. Shared bills, apartment lease, bank card statements, etc. Once I had everything, I packed a few essentials while he was at work. Clothes, ID, jewelry, documents, my journals. Things that felt like mine. I moved into my friend Danny's guest room and cried for 2 straight nights, not because I missed him, but because I realized how much of myself I had lost. Then I booked my first therapy appointment in 2 years. I went back to the apartment once, not to talk, but to end it properly, face to face. I didn't want closure. I wanted to look him in the eye and let him know he no longer had control over me. When I walked in, he looked startled. I told him calmly, I'm not here to argue. I'm here to end it. Of course, that's when the panic started. First it was confusion. What are you talking about? Then denial. Are you seriously breaking up over one mistake? Then came the love bombing. Babe, I was hurt. I only did it because I love you too much. I was afraid of losing you. That's when I stopped him. You don't destroy the person you love because you feel insecure. Silence. He blinked like he didn't know what to say. Like it had never once occurred to him that his behavior was cruel. Or maybe it had, and he just didn't care until now. I told him I was moving out permanently, that I'd arranged a formal lease break, and I'd have the rest of my things out by the weekend, and that I didn't want to speak to him again. He tried to hug me. I stepped back. That's when he started crying. Actual sobbing. He begged. Said he didn't mean to hurt me, that he thought I was cheating on him with my friend Ryan, and that everything just spiraled. I didn't respond. I just walked out. A few days later, the text started. Not from him, but from mutual friends. Apparently, he's been telling people I cheated, that I emotionally abandoned him and stayed out with Ryan, doing God knows what. He said he only slipped up after months of being neglected. I was furious, not surprised, but still furious. So I sent a private message to a few people who were close to both of us. I didn't blast him publicly. I simply said, if you've heard anything about what happened, I'm happy to. Share the full story, including screenshots and a voicemail I'll never unhear. Most of them already knew the truth. One of his oldest friends actually called me and said, I don't know how you stayed with him as long as you did. As for the FWB, she blocked him. Turns out she didn't know about me, at least not the full extent. He told her we were basically broken up and that I was emotionally manipulative and controlling. She found out we were still living together and still in a relationship when he called me that night. I won't lie, hearing that she blocked him felt satisfying. Not because I wanted revenge, but because she deserved better too. It's been a few weeks now. I've moved in temporarily with Donnie, but I've also started applying for new apartments. Somewhere that's mine. Clean slate. I've been going to therapy twice a week. It's brutal but freeing. I've cried in that room more than I ever cried in our relationship. I've talked about the constant gaslighting, the quiet jabs he made about my friends, how he'd say, "Are you wearing that?" before we went out. It was never just about that voicemail. That was just the final act in a long play I didn't realize I'd been cast in. I've also been reconnecting with myself and others. Ryan reached out, concerned about what happened. I told him the truth. We actually laughed about the absurdity of it and cried a little too. He and his girlfriend have been supportive in a way I didn't expect. No judgment. Just kindness. I started journaling again. Bought new hiking boots. Went on a solo day trip to a lake nearby. Spent an entire afternoon reading in the sun with no one asking when I'd be home. I feel free. Not healed. Not yet, but no longer trapped. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is this. Emotional abuse doesn't always look like screaming or physical threats. Sometimes it looks like jokes that cut deep. Sometimes it's timed silence meant to make you squirm. Sometimes it's the withholding of affection. Sometimes it's planned betrayal dressed up as revenge. What he did wasn't about me going out. It wasn't about Ryan. It wasn't about one night. It was about control. He saw my independence as disrespect. My friendships as betrayal. My self-confidence as rebellion. So he tried to destroy it, but instead, he destroyed whatever part of me still wanted to stay. I look back at that girl who stood in her own kitchen playing a voicemail she'll never forget, and I want to hug her. Tell her, this isn't your fault. You're not broken. You just forgot your worth. I haven't responded to his recent messages. He's still trying, always with some new emotional tactic. Guilt, nostalgia, remorse, but I'm done. Thank you all again for being the mirror. I needed to see the full picture. I'll post a final update soon, once I've fully moved out and settled into my new space. For now, I'm just learning how to breathe again, one clean breath at a time. Ape. Final update. I didn't just leave him. I found myself again. Hi, Reddit. It's been a few months since my last post, and I wanted to give one final update. So many of you followed this journey with empathy, insight, and unfiltered honesty. I don't think I would have come this far without, This community holding a mirror up to my reality when I didn't want to see it. I won't bury the lead. I'm good now. Really good. Better than I thought I'd be when this all first happened. Emotionally. Mentally, I'm in a much more grounded place. I've spent the past few months doing some real internal work, therapy, journaling, establishing boundaries, and more than anything, learning to trust myself again. When you're in a relationship with someone who constantly manipulates your perception of reality, it messes with your intuition. You start second guessing your own emotions, instincts, even your memories. It takes time to rebuild that, but I have. I don't jump to defend myself when I express a boundary now. I don't feel guilty for saying no, and I definitely don't feel obligated to explain my every move to anyone. Of course he did. Predictable, right? About a month ago, I got a DM on Instagram from a throwaway account with one message: I miss you. Can we talk? That was it. No apology. No accountability. Just him trying to open a door that I slammed shut with every bit of dignity. I had left. I didn't respond. I blocked the account and blocked every mutual friend I suspected might have. Tasked him my SOCILS dot, not out of spite, out of self-preservation. The version of me that stayed in that relationship out of fear, guilt, or obligation. She doesn't exist anymore. People talk, especially when you share a few mutual circles. I don't ask, but sometimes the information comes anyway. Apparently, his FWB finally walked away. Word is she found out about all the lies, not just about me, but about everything. Turns out she wasn't his backup plan. She was just another pawn. He's struggling now, alone, bitter, still trying to rewrite the narrative and play victim and me. I don't care. I mean that from the deepest, most peaceful part of myself, not in a smug or vindictive way, just indifference. And that, I think, is the real closure. I moved into my own apartment last month. It's tiny, but it's mine. Every piece of furniture, every candle, every book chosen by me. It's the first space I've had in years that feels safe. I'm dating again, but casually. No pressure, no rushing. I'm taking my time because I finally understand that I don't need anyone to complete me. I'm not looking for a savior. I'm not trying to fill a void. I've got hobbies again, things I forgot I loved. I started painting, even though I'm objectively terrible at it. I go for solo hikes. I take myself out for dinner. I read just because and for the first time in a long, long time, I feel whole. What happened to me wasn't just a breakup. It was a psychological wake-up call. He didn't cheat because I failed him. He cheated because he needed to feel powerful, and the only way he knew how was by degrading someone else. That voicemail wasn't about lust or revenge. It was about humiliation. He wanted me to hurt, to feel small, to question my worth, but instead of breaking me, he gave me a clarity I didn't know I needed, because now I know this. Love shouldn't feel like a game. It shouldn't leave you in tears at 4 a.m., wondering what you did wrong. It shouldn't come with punishment, power plays, or emotional whiplash. Love should feel safe, calm, mutual. And if someone needs to humiliate you to feel powerful, walk away. That's not love. That's control. Thank you for being the collective voice that spoke the truth I was too scared to say out loud. Thank you to the people who shared their own stories, who told me I wasn't crazy, who gave me permission to put myself first. If you're reading this and you're still in that place, the place where you're trying to make sense of someone who only makes you feel like you're too emotional, too sensitive, or too much, please hear me when I say this. You're not too much. You're too good for the person who made you feel like you were. Take your time. Plan your exit. Trust yourself. You'll get there. And one day, you'll wake up in a bed you chose, in a home that's peaceful, drinking your coffee in silence, and realize the chaos is gone because you chose to walk away, And that's the most powerful thing you'll ever do. Abe.